And a good Saturday afternoon, Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards forecaster. For this outlook, we're looking at the big picture, of course, and this is a stubborn area of low pressure that's been centered for quite a while up in the areas around Hudson Bay. It's kind of moved a little bit into far northern Quebec, and the flow is continuing to be out of the west and northwest. It's occasionally picking up a little bit of moisture coming in off the Gulf of Mexico, but very limited. Most of these have been sort of stringy frontal boundaries, but the most present is this business here that's off to the west of us that's been working on through kind of gradually, and we're not really looking at a whole lot in terms of precipitation from it, just some general light rain shower activity. Temperatures are above the freezing mark, so there's no issues for any kind of travel issues with icy travel or any kind of wet snow. However, it looks like as we get into the middle to end of next week, we're going to see more prospects for that. I do not see any major weather systems. We have one relatively potent system and a little bit more potent that's going to be taking a track. Basically, it's energy from this that's going to kind of trop this ridge here and kind of develop and spin up an area of low pressure that's going to then track across Quebec, and that's going to drag in some colder air toward the end of the period and especially beyond the period. Let's take a look at the computer models for better explanations. Okay, we have the European model on the left-hand side. We have the GFS ensemble on the right-hand side. And what you can see is a little bit of very light rain showers in this very light green color here. This is kind of leftovers, and this is valid about 5 o'clock, or yes, 5 o'clock this evening on this Saturday evening, which we're going to have a time change, of course, during the overnight period tonight. But this is about 8 o'clock in the evening. You can see just minimal amounts of precipitation today. Just kind of gray skies and a little bit more of this business, it looks like, lasting into the night tonight as well as into tomorrow morning. This would be about 15Z, which is about 11 o'clock in the morning. And then taking this a little bit more, just a smaller, more concentrated patch, you might say, of precipitation. That rolls on out. We're talking about minutia. This area of higher pressure then builds in, kind of ridges southward for what will be a dry day, kind of squeezing it all in, but a fairly cloudy day on Monday. So dry project weather, but not great in terms of solar generation. This then pulls away. We have this business here. This is our a little bit more potent weather system I was talking about. Note along its northern fringes here we have rain to snow, and of course just rain to the south with green. This moves in, it's going to be all rain basically. I say all rain except right at this very start there could be a little bit of wet snow that develops during the night, Monday night, and some of the higher terrain, but that's going to move on by. Things warm up. We have that southwesterly flow, a southerly flow, a little bit of a channeling effect across parts of the Champlain Valley, but not much. And then on the backside of the system, it gets a little bit more potent, and we can see a little bit of gusty winds on the backside of this system that could reach thresholds mainly in the central and especially southern Green Mountain summits. But again, we're talking just barely up to about 40 miles per hour gusts. Any weak trees could come down. It might be a sporadic power outage, but we're not looking at anything major here. So utility impacts, probably not. This then brings in colder air aloft, and we get a little bit of snow shower activity on the backside of that system. This high pressure system then sets up as we drive in some colder temperatures with gusty west to northwest winds. That high pressure center builds in with the ridge to the south and gives us kind of a break in between these two weather systems. And then we set up for the next weather system, which is a little bit more potent. Now this dry project weather, that'll be on Wednesday. And of course, as we get into Wednesday night, we have definitely cloud cover. So Wednesday does not look like another day of it will be dry project weather, but not a day that's going to generate any kind of major solar generation. So two relatively cloudy days, even though they're dry project weather. We got some snow working on in and maybe some mixed precipitation types. Note the GFS here kind of indicating that. So a wintry mix is what I'm calling it. Precipitation under half an inch. I don't think we're going to have any issues with this, but it's something we'll have to watch as we get into Thursday. Still, I don't think we're going to see anything major out of it, but we could actually accrue maybe somewhere between a dusting and a couple of inches of snow. That would be on Thursday, probably more Thursday morning, going to maybe a little bit of wet snow shower activity during the day, melting back, and then a little bit more in the evening hours as we head into Thursday night. And then on Friday, we're kind of in between here, kind of a very weak area of higher pressure will allow a dry project weather day Friday just to follow beyond the outlook period. And then we have this system dropping in. This is a colder weather system, but note, it picks up a little bit of moisture off the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes are relatively warm this time of year, so consequently, you're seeing thermal temperatures, the thermal situation here just a little bit warmer, and so maybe some mixed wet and rain and snow beyond the period for next Saturday, and kind of unsettled and colder weather as we head into Sunday, with laying down maybe just a little bit of wet snow on the ground, but not much. There's no major weather systems. I'm looking at here a stronger area of higher pressure, 1041 hectopascal. That's a pretty good, that's a pretty strong cold air mass as well, and that's going to be pushing in, it looks like, for Sunday into Monday and probably into Tuesday of next week. The GFS ensemble model plumes look like this. This is 3-hourly QPF, so just a little smidgen here. That's what we're looking at over the weekend. We have this more concentrated batch here, a day off, and then some more business coming in around the corner. What does it look like in total QPF? Nothing great. Incrementally, a little jump up here, about 0.2 of an inch, another jump up, total around 0.6 of an inch, and the next jump up maybe getting us to about an inch by the 11th. That's well beyond the period. At 850 millibar temperatures, the top of Mount Mansfield slice of the atmosphere, running right about the 0 degree isotherm, and then temperatures cool off as we dry things out, then warm it back up, and so on and so forth. So the consequences of that are a little bit of mixed precipitation type in this area here especially. So we can see that that's what we're going to be seeing once we get toward the end of the period, of this outlook period, especially after Wednesday into Thursday and into Friday, just beyond the period, a little bit of mixed precipitation types. Busiest area, of course, is the Pacific Northwest. Not, I repeat, not El Nino-like. That would be more down this area. So we're seeing kind of more La Nina aspects of our weather right now. The subtropical jet has really yet to set up very strongly. It's trying to get its act together, but we're still in kind of a typical old winter kind of scenario here, neutral or whatever. And we're looking at about a ½ inch of total precipitation, about 1 inch amounts over the Adirondacks and points north, for example. 2-meter temperatures out of the climate reanalyzer look like this. What you can see is just about coast to coast warmth, a little bit of cooler air, and then some cooler temperatures that have dropped in across Canada. Just for kicks, I'm going to show you the SST anomalies. This is what's driving a lot of our weather right now, with very warm oceans. And we have that warmth that's almost coast to coast. This is the next 5 days of high temperatures. Things cool down and turn neutral along the west coast. Still plenty of warmth that has basically developed in the west and now is moving east, and it's going to be moving into the middle Atlantic states. However, we're not quite there. Looking at about just 3 days later, we're going to see some inroads of colder air and kind of suppress this anomaly of warmth a little further to the south. And the current conditions, temperatures have made it above the 50-degree mark in many, many locations. A little bit of leftover moisture, but not a whole lot. Looking at the precipitation, you can see where it's reaching some of the stations, Watertown, Tug Hill Plateau, Syracuse, and so on. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.